The people versus Spotify. The people have won. So, I'm sure you guys know by now what happened today. Basically, what happened was that Kendrick Lamar used his amazing power, his grace given by God, and told Spotify that he didn't want to be associated with the platform anymore. Basically, from what I've read about from some of the articles that reported on what just happened, Spotify pretty much took back what they said about their whole hate speech policy, because as we all know, Spotify just last week took down artists Xxx and R. Kelly from this recommended streaming service platform, like their playlists, because they didn't want to associate with their accusations against them or their past, which is just highly hypocritical and causes so many problems, just because there's so many artists across all genres that have crazy accusations against them and have actually been found guilty of crimes which are just as, if not more severe than anything X and R. Kelly have been accused of. And especially people like X, where they're just accused. I don't know what R. Kelly's situation is, but I mean, obviously, like the peeing on a underage girl thing. X, at least, hasn't been found guilty. He's only been accused. These are allegations. And what Spotify is doing is, I mean, America has this policy of innocent until proven guilty. And what Spotify is doing is pretty much punishing him before it has even been revealed whether he's guilty of the crimes or not. So that is very problematic and is pretty sketchy, in my opinion. And I think people listening don't want to have politics influence their streaming service and where they get music from. That's just not good to mix those two things together. I think the best idea would be just to let the public choose whether these people, because of their past or not, are people that people want to listen to. But basically what happened, I was reading some articles about it, and Kendrick Lamar told Spotify that he doesn't want to be associated with the platform, according to Top Dog, if they're going to be censoring music, because that isn't good and that is dangerous if platforms start censoring what people are hearing, which it totally is, totally biased. You don't know what they're going to... We don't want to leave it up to the platforms to have their biases and agenda be forced upon people who use the platform, and especially a service like Spotify, which has just so many subscribers, and the majority of people who listen to music either use Apple Music or Spotify. You know, it's too big of a platform to be controlling what people are hearing and listening to. So yeah, Spotify took back what they said about their hate speech policy. So this is a big victory for music in general, especially in the era which we find ourselves in, which is the music streaming service era, because the people are pretty much drawing lines where these platforms can and cannot go, because this is still such a new process. I'm sure it's difficult for the platforms to be able to distinguish the things they can and cannot do when in terms of ways of getting content out to people, and whether they should enforce their own personal biases or beliefs and whatnot into the service, when I think it's going to be a much better outcome if you let the people determine, rather than a small group of people at the company determine what millions, tens, hundreds of millions of people are hearing. I think this is a good lesson to be learned for any service, because this problem is going on other platforms too, such as YouTube. You know, YouTube just came out the other day with an announcement of them adjusting the subscription feed, and it not just being your subscription feed, but things you are likely to watch, like a recommended subscription feed pretty much, and not putting the channels you subscribe to's newest videos in chronological order on your page, which is, in my opinion, how it should be, because what the hell else is a subscription button for if you're not going to notify the subscribers that a video has been posted? And I mean, I think YouTube's going to learn their lesson. There's already people on YouTube throwing hella backlash at them. I mean, Xxxtentacion just came out with a video the other day completely detesting what YouTube is doing in terms of the new subscription feed. I I mean, yeah, this Spotify situation is just a huge W all around. I mean, big props to Kendrick Lamar for using his power and influence in a noble manner. You know, very rarely do we see outcomes like this happen, which is just the perfect way that it should have come out. And it only lasted a week, too. I mean, that's awesome. I think YouTube's going to learn their lesson. I'm sure YouTube will learn their lesson because they're dabbling in an area of censorship and skewing what can and cannot go on people's feeds. And that's just going to get backlash. Like, people are not going to like that. And people didn't like Spotify. Thankfully, they had a huge creator like Kendrick Lamar from their platform say, I don't stand for what you guys are doing. So I think YouTube is a much bigger platform than Spotify, obviously. But if YouTube gets a couple of key people, I'm thinking maybe like some Logan Pauls, you know, some Jake Pauls, some, I don't know, makeup YouTubers, some big ones, I don't know. And kind of form together and say, hey, YouTube, we don't approve of what you're doing. We can't get behind it. Then maybe YouTube will take a step back and reconsider the actions, even though YouTube has had so many accusations, or has gotten so much hate thrown against them over the years for things they've done. But this is a big W for the people and the blurry lines of what is ethical and not ethical in the music streaming service arena, or not even just music streaming service arena, but the whole platform arena and the whole content platform arena. So, Kendrick Lamar, big props to you, my man. XXX, you're back on the Spotify recommended playlist. R. Kelly, you're back on the Spotify recommended playlist. Culture owes one to Kendrick Lamar. Big point for Kendrick Lamar. Have a good one. Peace.